Greetings, good people. It's an honor to share poetry with you today. I have 3 poems to share. The first one is called The Devil Wears Nothing. It does include metaphorical references to suicidal ideation. And if it's uncomfortable for you to engage with this type of dialogue, then please feel free to find or do what you need to do to seek your peace. Sometimes I test my fear of death. I let go of the wheel of rational thinking. Play treason with my reason in a game of chicken on a high-speed highway. Head-on collision, I press hard on the gas. I floor it. Just to go fast and break loose from the norm. No ringing of alarms, no sound off from the horn. The raving dance hall in my mind will leave me all on the road, killed before morn. I crash through a glass roof, leaving life's dreams flesh and bone torn. It's a daredevil stunt many would scorn, and I practice this often. Laughing in the same ditch of dirt that may one day cradle my coffin. Because I dare chase debates with the devil. Racing for the truth behind my existence, am I free from its lick, or am I a slave to its whip? Do I regret being born, or am I sworn to live amongst the thorns of pricks, so when this worldly rose bush of ugly lightly touches me, it smothers me, but not close enough to read into my history, to look into my book of faces, to poke me, not harsh enough to fight me, but slight enough to spite me, I might be. Descending into the pits of hell to die nightly. Suspended by a bungee cord, sitting, gripping the wheel as I feel the heat of steel in the leather lap of my passenger's seat, imprisoned in the streetcar named Delilah, locked in with the keys to my heart lost in the trunk of my emotional baggage. My heart is a muscle car beating like a ticking time bomb about to explode at the second from guilt's napalm. The cord inherits the name suicide. And reeling me down slowly is my conscience, an ice-cold fisherman. And ironically, I don't die, see. My bad habits just multiply, only when I'm bored, and I don't see dead people, only Moby Dicks, clinging to the harness of their hopes, praying their fingertips don't betray them, and the dragons I battle are my demons dragging me to hell. Why do I feel more superior than you? Hear the troubles that grip you. Breathe deeper than I need to, see life clear like it's see-through, speak louder than absolutely necessary if the people ask me why. This would be my only reply. To drown out humanity's whispered cries kept inside a voice box that has long been unlocked, yet a heavy burden sits on top, keeping it forced shut up. Sometimes I wish I am never awake, aware, scared, prepared for death so I can never guess who's coming to dinner, because the devil wears nothing except when it arrives to dine in your mind, ready to sanctify your union, donning a dark wedding dress, shredded, embroidered with shards of glass that reflects like a two-way mirror so that you can barely recognize the self, much less detect the voice in your head whom you've always been suspect. But when the devil finally owns the lease on your love that you leave on your sleeve for it to feast in the eve, it wears nothing, nada, not even Prada, bears all until the hungry image of its nudity is profound, like sunlight that pours down from the epiphany of naked truth. So be careful to whom you extend your hand before the devil becomes your eternal landlord. Because the greatest trick it ever pulled was not to convince us that evil doesn't exist, but to remind us of its sole purpose, to make your priceless soul worthless, and convert your choices into faint voices of futile desires, setting your deserted heart on fire until the only sign of life that remains after this wild blaze are those whispered cries, begging to be free. So that piece is titled The Devil Wears Nothing, and it's a metaphor for incredible self-doubt that can drag you down to, places that depreciate the value of self. And a lot of my mental health challenges have come from appreciation of my life and the experiences that I've been fortunate enough to accumulate, and how experiencing these things and not throwing them away or negating them, finding a way to just observe them and accept them, sometimes opens up another voice inside you that says, you can move forward now. The next poem I'd like to recite is called The Hardest. And it's a poem is based off of a conversation I had with a 40-year-old woman. She was an audience member at a poetry show, and she, after the show, came up and told me a lot about her life, and I saw a lot of similarities in her own life and mine. And I wrote this poem as a dedication to her, but also as a dedication to mine. It goes like this. The Hardest. The life of an artist mirrors the prayer of a life of a woman in her 40s who has never known the freedom that true love worships. She wants a man, she wants a baby, she wants to be happily married, but she slips nightly and speaks with ex-lovers, now husbands, to others, and these husbands tell her that their marriage is broken. Promises made in vain to immature women who, after 20 years of consummation, grew up to be girls with little wisdom. So she sleeps comfortably in coarse wool sheets, knowing her repentance is worth nothing so long as her conscience keeps heart pumping and the milkshake stand running, because her dreams are the only things that can make her feel something. But while she fails to see the irony of how keep creeping beneath the heat of coarse wool sheets can make her feel complete, she breaks her dreams and lives in the company of absolute misery. And with a heart twice broken and a mind now twisted, sleeping with the enemy never seems so sweet. Nodding your head with the devil to a Kanye West instrumental hashtagged in a blunt called No Other Options is the best orchestra, a beat invisible. So what's the risk, the woman asks. Why do I hold myself back, the artist raps. What does my heart know of the difference between taking patience? What does my heart know of the difference between patience and taking life by the colorful balls and crushing them in my capable palms? Chills on a zigzag line of breakdancing with zombies and waltzing with the insanity of the beautiful senses that have cursed my logic but blessed my reason. As if God never made great plans and our parents didn't have higher expectations of us. You see, we artists, true artists, live life on a different plane, flying in our wingless nimbus dreams, but standing firm in reality. And as clear as the weatherman makes this possibility of living out our fantasies in this matrix seem, the view is always asylum cloudy, as if skydiving agents purposely tinted our window panes at seats A, R, and T with the best smoky gray spray paint confiscated money can buy. And you wonder why we don secondhand Ray-Bans during the shortest hours of the brightest days, but rock them in the longest hours of the darkest nights. It's not because we can't face you. It's because we can't face ourselves, our failures, our frustrations. Stained in the mirror of residual deception, this view becomes the lens we get used to, escaping the ancient tragedy of artistic abuse. So we pledge allegiance to the page, to the stage, to the canvas, to the mic, to the rope, to the coke, to the bottle, to the knife. And after we take that last step and exhale that last breath, we hear the crowd chanting the greatest mantra ever known to the life of a artist. Let's get it in. So we slice and we write and we recite until there is nothing left in us to give, because the puzzle of our lives is missing so many pieces. We no longer search to complete it and let's get it in begins to reverb as a repeated murmur of that 40-something-year-old woman singing, just to give in. But it's never been about going in. It's only ever been about getting out. So go, run, gallop at a speed faster than the mind can trace the history of how it journeyed from inspired A to discouraged Z. Space travel on a camel, collect your marbles, grow a pair and dunk them in concrete rivers like a mother of Greek mythology once did to her son. It's 2000 post-Mayan. Artists, let this be your thesis from artists. Let this be your thesis. From this day forth, you have no abstract excuses for Aztec Achilles heel weakness. Embrace your demons. Scream custard curdling cries like the baby from a cradle climbing to get out. But when you take that epic jump, expect an epic fall, crumble. And when you're done feeding the defeat of your insecurities, rise and claim victory over that which aims to destroy the very purpose of your soulful existence, because you are going to die anyways. So you may as well die for your mother, loving heart. Yeah, that poem is about people who feel so deeply that their heart becomes affected by it, and how that sometimes is actually the answer. How to feel instead of feeling in ways that harm, instead of trying to process the feeling in harmful ways, trying to find a way to process these feelings in positive ways. And so, expecting, if you are a heartist, not an artist, that you will feel deeply, and learning how to embrace those deep feels will hopefully be a way to start looking at solutions. The last piece I have titled is called Dedication. And in this piece, it asks some simple questions, but hopefully these questions provide answers. What does it mean to write a poem and be truly dedicated to it? To script its destiny into fulfillment like an infant born with infinite possibilities. To rip its pages from the journal, fold the edges like wings, raise it to the throne of heaven's feet and serve it to the sea to set it free. To gift it back to the oblivion from whence it came. To learn from its creation and allow its existence to spark revolutions like when civilizations accept new definitions of love in their laws and lexicons. But what does it mean to know that every poem has a purpose, and every person is a poem? To remember that you were born with the same intention that first burst the sun into our galaxy. To be someone's light that never diminishes. A source of warmth and comfort for so long that it would feel like eons. But what does it mean to write your lonely into discovery until the ink of the pen runs dry? Until the voice of the poet forges into an unforgettable crescendo? Until all events, past and future, filter into the covenant of time to remind us that the present is truly our present. And if there were only 3 minutes left to finish this poem, or less, what does it mean to fear that in those 180 seconds you will have nothing left good to say to those who need to hear it the most, including yourselves? Goddamn, what does it mean to let the tears fall hard from your eyes like angry rain from the sky because for what seems like centuries you have kept so much pain inside? To ignore the work, the phone, the door. Also, you can let this poem pour out of your soul the way it has been scratching at the surface of your core, digging at the space you consider to be your last hope, your source, a dark place only because you have kept this poem tucked away for days like never before. Days until now, when the concave glass keeper cracks at cylinder sides, giving way to cascading glass like shards, riding tides. Memories of a poem balancing on the triumph of your smile because for the first time, you have learned to tame the tidal waves of the unknown. For the metaphor of life is to rip through ripples of doubt until you have learned to master your board, your wood, your pencil, your pen, your sentence, your paragraph, your purpose, your person. And finally, you stand tall like those willow trees we sit beneath to write out our story with a foreword that reads, dedicated to me. May I always seek to be clean, pure, free. And may these words fill me until I fear no more, until I doubt no more, until I am sure that I am the greatest line in the most beautiful poem ever heard. Thank you very much. Thank you to Brickyard. Thank you to Andrea Thompson and to all the poets and creatives participating and engaging on this important topic. We hope that you are on your journey to find your light and your peace. Have a great and special day. Peace.